Banyana over there, the Government Affairs Manager with the League to Save Lake Tahoe. Thank you for how you serve and all of the great events. I feel like daily I'm talking about some of the great things that the organization does. And as your role as a Government Affairs Manager, what is your role and responsibility? Oh,
Well, thanks so much for having me.
yeah.
My work really focuses on how we as the league represent Tahoe in government venues. So whether that's Carson City, Sacramento, or Washington, D.C., we are advocates for the lake and the basin and our communities here. And my job is helping sort of liaise what the message is and the needs are to the government entities that have a lot of impact on how we live our lives, how projects get funded, and how the lake stays blue.
Well, for both, so federal, state, and local,
Mhm.
you're there representing our policies and what we could do and what we should do and how we get that funding at all levels. So you're pretty busy. I mean, this has to happen. All three
It
of
ebbs
those
and flows.
are a handful. Are there any significant policies that are on the table right now that you're working on?
There's a lot going on everywhere. I
Yeah.
think one that I want to highlight, which unfortunately is no longer on the table, but I think really tells a good story of the work that we do and what we're trying to do in Tahoe is was in Carson City. Their legislative session just ended, and they won't come back until 2027 because they're a part-time legislature. But we ran a bill this session to limit the sale of single-use plastic water bottles in the Nevada side of the basin. A lot of people will know we have this policy in place in South Lake Tahoe and recently in Truckee. And we want to have some uniformity around the lake as the league. We do so many litter cleanups on our beaches and other popular sites, and plastics are one of the most commonly found items, and a lot of that is in the form of plastic bottles, bottle caps, and pieces of plastics that degrade from those bottles. And so we ran this bill to try to limit just the availability of single-use bottles in Tahoe, knowing that we have a fantastic alternative in Tahoe tap water, some of the best tasting and cleanest, healthiest tap water in the world. And we know people love to bring their reusable water bottles all around. I've got mine right here.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the bill didn't make it this session, but it moved a lot farther than we anticipated. And we're really, optimistic about the time that we have, in the next couple of years to work with local businesses and local stakeholders to make it a success in 2027.
And how do those policies get shaped by local committee meetings with the league? Is that how these things? I mean, that was a great. I remember that opportunity, and I didn't know. I don't know where they go or how they get shaped. Do you have meetings personally, or do you commute? I got my own little water bottle here now, reusable.
Awesome.
How do those get shaped if the public wants their input?
Yeah, I mean, we try to make it as open a process as possible. And I'm always available. My team is always available for outreach. And so we want to make sure that if we're working on something that's going to affect you as an individual or a business or an entity within the basin, that all the stakeholders are involved. And so we had a lot of meetings with local businesses, our, resort and hotel community on the Nevada side of the lake to try to understand what the challenges would be to implementation of such a policy and how we could alleviate some of the concerns they might have had. And I think what I'm really proud of is in this specific bill and proposal, we were able to make amendments that served every type of stakeholder that reached out with a concern. And so, there's not always a very formal process, but with some of these things, especially in the idea phase, but I do want anyone listening to know that we are available as partners in thought process and coming up with ideas on how to make the lake cleaner and bluer, and also make that not as difficult for the local entities that will have to implement certain policies.
Yeah, and you got the bike path cleanup also as well. So I
Yeah,
shared that this morning. So thank you, Noah
thanks.
Banyana, Government Affairs Manager there with the League to Save Lake Tahoe. Thank you for how you serve our community. If you want to reach out, she just shared a great resource and let your voice be heard. Thank you for being a mouthpiece for us all.